Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
What is up, Buffalo Fanatics? Z-Bot here with you. Live on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel on a Monday morning. And that, of course, can only mean one thing. It is the smoke break. So good to have you in. August 10th. We are less than a month away from regular season NFL football. The Hall of Fame game, perhaps the best Hall of Fame game of all time, come and gone. Training camp at St. John Fisher in Rochester, come and gone. And the grand opening, the grand public reveal of the new Highmark Stadium has come and gone. The red and blue scrimmage was Saturday evening at new Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. The new era of the Buffalo Bills has officially commenced. With the old stadium, our beautiful Ralph sitting now in a pile of rubble as the new Highmark Stadium towers over it, open to the public, and that's what we're talking about this morning, and I can't wait to talk about it with you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Miss all of you, and we missed football, didn't we? And I cannot wait to be hanging out with you all the time for the next several months. We're going to be hanging out. Get used to it. Get used to it. Football is so close. We got preseason this upcoming weekend. We got regular season ball in less than a month. Folks, get ready for Bot on your screen. Get ready for Josh Allen on your screen. Get ready for the new stadium on your screen. Before we dive into it, let's give some hellos. Jeff the Kinger. Good to see you, brother. Cody Ben's in the building. Sandra, Big Papa, Eric, NVM, and all the rest of you joining on a Monday morning. Hello to all those joining not live. Not the most traditional time in the world here on a Monday morning, but the reason for this is I finally am home now with my actual microphone and can sit and talk about the stadium. I was up in Rochester, then, of course, in Buffalo, to go to the grand opening of the new Highmark Stadium, and I was going to do this sooner, but I didn't have all my equipment. I had the wireless microphone. I'm at my parents' house. I only have my laptop camera, so I said, let's wait till Monday morning when I get back to the lair. When I get back to Z-Bot Studios to really dive into it. Because I wanted to give you my personal thoughts. By now, you've seen everybody's thoughts. And some are very interesting to me. Some I align with. Some I was kind of shocked to see. There's a lot to dive into here. I mean, there's a lot of new in Buffalo right now, and this is at the epicenter of it, the brand new stadium. Before I even dive into it, I need to give the biggest shout out in the world to James, a.k.a. the Mountain Man. One of the great friends of Buffalo Fanatics, longtime viewer, and a great dude. Wouldn't have been able to get into that stadium and check the whole place out without him. He hooked it up. Couldn't be more grateful for the opportunity to have gone and checked this place out for the first time when it was first open to the public. James, thank you so much, my man. I'm crafting up a nice email right now giving you my thoughts because I sat in James's season tickets. Let me tell you something. James has some primo season tickets. If there's anybody I left that stadium, I never left the stadium more jealous of anyone than I did my main man, Mountain Man. He's got these unreal season tickets, and I got to sit in there for about an hour, and I'm sitting there thinking, man, I'd like to sit here for 3 hours every Sunday for the rest of my life, and that's what James gets to do. So thank you very much, James. So a bunch of you out there, by the way, many of you stopped and came up and said hello. Really appreciated that. It was great to see so many people. Look, at the end of the day, new stadium, old stadium, the one thing remains, and that is Bills Mafia showing out in droves for just about anything, including a practice in August. That new stadium cracked a 50,000 occupancy for a practice. I think it was over 51,000 people, and you felt it. You know, when you were there, you would have had no clue that was a practice. It was as packed as it would have been if it was the AFC Championship. It was just mobbed. And mind you, that was only for season ticket holders, and obviously people like myself were able to go through other season ticket holders. But it was that packed without having like a general sale for the tickets. If those tickets would have had a general public sale, it would have been at absolute full capacity for a practice. All right, so we're going to talk a lot about this stadium here. We're going to talk about a lot of everything. So strap in. Questions are welcomed, by the way, because I know a lot of people obviously didn't get to go over the weekend and aren't going to get to go for some time, right? I mean, this is all brand new. It's very expensive to go during the regular season. It's, you know, many people don't live in the area. So this is all, I think a lot of people are seeing this for the first time without actually visiting or without any concrete plans to visit soon here. So questions are welcomed. I'll answer as many as I can because this is a lot to handle, I think. When you are a fan like myself who's been going to games at the Ralph your entire life, when you walk into a new place across the street, it just feels weird. It feels different. And it's certainly going to take a lot of getting used to. But let's dive into it. The brand new Highmark Stadium, it is open to the public. A lot of positives. Certainly some criticisms. I'm going to give it to you all here, my in-person review and thoughts on the brand new Highmark Stadium in Orchard Park, New York. Let's start with the basics, and that is when you first get there. Now, I think the parking situation, that's going to be hit or miss no matter where you are, and I've always been one to park further away from the stadium and walk to it. I know it was just a practice, so I think it's really hard to speculate on what the parking situation is going to be, but I have to imagine it's going to be the same as it's always been. Every game's going to be sold out. It's going to take a minute to park. But I would say there's plenty of different entrances from all around the stadium that no matter where you're at, getting into the stadium might be as easy as it's ever been. But we got there pretty early. The scrimmage started at 7. My dad and I got there at 4. Parking was no issue at all. We parked across the street in one of the private lots there. The exterior of the stadium is incredible. If you haven't been to Buffalo in a while and you haven't seen the exterior in person, that's going to be I'm guessing that's going to probably be your biggest wow moment. That's what it was for me. When I first saw the stadium as it is now, which is in its final form, when I first saw that for the first time, it was like, wow. It's gorgeous on the outside. I know it's getting this, it's got this comparison of like a bedpan, I think I saw. The exterior of it is absolutely gorgeous. The giant Bills logos look great. There's this skin that runs along the exterior that has like a million different Charge logos on it. Looks great. I just think the exterior of it itself, because with the old Ralph, more than half the stadium was underneath the ground. You wouldn't even know the stadium was in the area unless you were on the road driving to the stadium. You really didn't see it in the distance anywhere. And of course, this stadium is the complete opposite, and it towers over everything, and it just really takes your breath away in a way that wasn't even possible with the old stadium because it just wasn't built that way. That's the biggest visual difference to me right off the bat, is just how grandiose it looks compared to the old one. because the Ralph was so underground that it never felt like, when you get in there, it's hard to believe it's as big as it is, the Ralph that is, because when you see it from the exterior, it's barely off the ground, at least in comparison to this new one. The exterior is gorgeous. The concourse around it, that's a massive upgrade from what we had with the Ralph. I love the giant bison. I know that's a very controversial subject. The geometric design of the bison, the size of the bison, they're awesome. They're awesome. The family circle is awesome. They nailed that. They nailed that, in my opinion. And for the vibe I was getting, it's a spectacle, and it's going to always be. Before the gates open, there's just hundreds of people over there looking at all the placards, looking at the bison, taking pictures. I love that area. I think out of all of the, things that went into making this stadium, one of my favorite elements is before you even walk in. I just love that area. Now, they did away, the family circle has all of the members of the Wall of Fame. That is what, if you've seen, there's these placards on these like stainless steel poles that encompass the bison. That's where all of the Wall of Fame members are. They did away with the Wall of Fame members on the inside of the stadium, however, which was news to me. I didn't know this until we got in there. The only names that are on the inside of the stadium are Ralph Wilson's name and then the retired jerseys, which are Thurman, Bruce, and Jim Kelly. That's it. So when you're used to seeing all of these names around the interior of the bowl of the stadium, that's been done away with. It's been replaced by the family circle, and only the retired jerseys are on the interior. I don't love that. I think that they should be in both. I don't see a reason as to why they can't have both. Yes, it's awesome. It's an awesome feature of the family circle. It doesn't need to be exclusive to the family circle. I think that those names have earned the right to be featured within the stadium. And I get the mindset, I guess, behind only the retired jerseys, but the jerseys are retired because the ones that have had their jersey retired have their jersey number circled in what looks like a Bills jersey almost next to their name inside. So it's easy to differentiate. I would add those down the line here. I don't think there's any reason not to. But the exterior of the stadium, that's a major upgrade. Not even just the bison, but just the whole outside itself. It's huge, plenty of room to walk. It's gorgeous looking. And I got to imagine there's going to be a ton going on the outside there during game day, whether that's bands or, pop-up tents, you name it. There just seems to be a ton of room for a ton of different stuff. Loved the outside of the stadium. I think they did a bang-up job there. Now, there's going to be some getting used to here in terms of the changes for those who have been a bunch, of course, to the old stadium. One in which is the fact that they have now separated security and scanning your ticket. Believe it or not, and I don't think I've been to a bunch of football stadiums. I don't think I've seen this before. You scan your ticket inside the stadium. So you walk in, and like usual, you have the metal detectors. Everybody's used to that. You have these big awnings. One of them's sponsored by Ticketmaster with a big Ticketmaster sign on it. One of them sponsored by Verizon with a big Verizon logo on top. You go through there, and that's super simple. It's these, the modern high-tech metal detectors where you don't even need to take your phone or wallet out of your pocket. You just walk right through. That gets you to the concourse. So if you haven't been, on the outside is the bison and the family circle. You don't need to go through security for that. Even if you're not going to the game, you can just go up to that, no problem. You can walk around the outside of the stadium, no problem. When you want to get to the interior concourse where there's going to be bathrooms in the merch tents and all that stuff, you go through the security. Now, there is no ticket scanning outside. there are these big, massive doors, almost like you're walking into a basketball arena. And that's where you scan the tickets. And I've never seen that before, other than, of course, going to like Madison Square Garden or TD Garden, like I'm an arena. It felt like you were kind of walking into an arena. So you go through the security outside, you make your way around the concourse, you choose wherever you want to walk in, whatever gate you choose, and then you scan on the inside. Now, you just tap your phone on the thing. It was really easy, but it was interesting, just different. I haven't seen that before. But once you do that, you're off to the races. Now, obviously, you go in through the lower level. Where I went in through gate 5. And so in walking in through gate 5, you scan your ticket, and it's a dead straight shot to the stadium. And this is my first impressions of seeing the field. So I scan, and you don't have to go right, left. I walked dead straight right to the 50-yard line. There's the stadium. The grass, it just looks so nice. That was, I think, my first take from the visual of the field itself. The grass, just so well done. It's hard to believe that that's even grass. It looks so good that it looks fake, but it's not. And I'm so glad that they decided to go with the grass. I know that's such a hot button topic around the league, as it should be. All the players want to play on it. For some reason, the majority of the owners refuse to install it. I'm glad Pagula and the Bills did, because it looks phenomenal. And you can just tell by looking at it how much work goes into it. And this is without the without the logo at the middle of the field. This is without coloring in the end zones. Looks really good. The first level, I would say, is where the best experience is, in my opinion, in terms of the overall fan experience. This is where you're going to find like the giant broken table. You're going to find the mini Peace Bridge. There's a lot of cool different installments like that. There's like a massive Bills logo that is kind of formed by this glass chandelier type thing when you walk in. There's like ornaments in one area hanging that represent all the different wins from all the different seasons. There's one area that has a ton of different banners, just random banners that say different things on them. And then you have like the giant broken table, the Peace Bridge. There's one that says caution. It's like pretend caution tape. And it says keep Buffalo a secret. So there's that. The first level, I would say, is where you feel the most immersed into the experience of being into the new stadium. So when I first walked in, I think is when it really first hit me that I'm never going to the Ralph again. I was there last year for the final year, and you're walking out, and I knew that was the last time I'd be there. But now walking into the new one, it's when it really hit me that I'll never be in the old one, and that this is now what Bills football will be, probably, I would imagine, for the rest of my life. I can't see how the Bills are getting a new stadium within the next 60 years, God willing, if I make it that long. I don't see that. Maybe, but based on what people are saying, maybe, I don't know. But it hit me that this is going to be my Bills experience for more than likely the rest of my life. And that was really heavy. Because right now, if you go there right now, the Ralph is just, it's rubble. It's not like they've cleared the area. It's still visible. It's just complete rubble. It's just piles and piles of metal and rock and whatever else. And then you walk into the new place and it just hits you. I mean, I've been going to the Ralph my entire life. My dad, I think he shed a tear staring at the Ralph and rubble, man. He went there. I mean, I'm going to be 30. He's going to be 60. He's been going there his entire life. It hits. It hits when you go into this new stadium and realize you're never going to be going to the old one. My first impressions were, I really liked how the field itself looked. In the most important thing I would say about the first level that I think is considered to be an upgrade. Seemingly no matter where you are on the first level, So say it's like the first quarter, the Bills are driving, but you're like, man, you have got to go to the bathroom, right? Like there's just nothing you can do. You got to go. You're going to be able to see the field and, of course, the game the entire way to the bathroom. And if the line is outside the bathroom, good chance you're going to be able to see the game from there as well. It's an open concourse on the first floor. At the old stadium, you were relying on listening to the speakers in, the hallway as to what was going on or finding a TV. I think for the most part, you're going to be able to see what's going on firsthand when you're either going to the bathroom or, you bring your son or daughter and they're starving and you got to go get them a hot dog. You're going to be able to see it. And that's awesome. That's a massive upgrade. The thing of it is, though, that's really only prevalent on the first floor, not so much on the higher floors. You don't have that luxury up top. This is really only something baked into the lower floors. But it is awesome on that lower level. You're going to be able to see things that you wouldn't have been able to see before in the old stadium. So my initial impression right off the bat, I think, was that this is the start of the new era. It finally hit me. This is the new Buffalo Bills football. And in many ways, it's never going to be the same. It could be better, it could be worse, could be the same in terms of the output on the field. But what you think of in terms of Buffalo football will never be the same just based on the venue itself. And this is where I wonder, as I get into my criticisms of the place, I wonder how much of this has to do with the fact that it just isn't the Ralph and it'll never be the Ralph. I think that has something to do with it. And that, of course, happens when you've spent your entire life going somewhere and now it's replaced by something else. Naturally, you're going to miss that other place because you had such an affinity for it. Naturally, you're going to have raised eyebrows at the new place because it's replacing the place that you loved. The thing is, though, is that there's one thing about the Ralph that can never be replaced and that can never be replicated. And this is what I think hit me a lot when you walk into the new place. The old stadium had such a level of grit to it that perfectly embodied everything about the city of Buffalo, its fan base, and the team itself. When you walked into the old Ralph, you felt like you were home. That felt like Bills football. You could go to all 31 other teams' venues and not feel what you felt in Buffalo on the home side and the away side. I don't know what it's like to walk into the Ralph as an opposing fan, but I got to imagine it was intimidating because you just felt the aura of the place the second you showed up. It just was gritty, and it had nothing other than a canvas for football. That's what the Ralph was. No bells and whistles, no BS. This thing is an underground bunker that is encased by 60+ thousand of the most rabid fans on the planet, ready to make the opponent's day miserable. That can never be replicated. And that is something that kind of hit me when you're in the new stadium. Because of the newness of it, and because when you walk in, you don't feel that Buffalo, that kind of like, boom, you know what I mean? That, the word I've been using is grit. That character, that charm. And a lot of that, of course, has to do with the fact that that's built up over having a stadium that's 50 years old. I get that. But it's just, it's tough to, it's tough to say goodbye to that. And it's going to take a long time to have that feel, have the new place feel like home. And maybe eventually it'll feel like home to me, but I don't think it'll ever feel like the Ralph in terms of the way I'm describing what the Ralph was. And the Ralph was just a football field. Nothing more, nothing less. It was the Ralph. And people might call it a dump, but man, it was our dump. It was our dump. And part of me, when I'm standing in the new stadium, I'm wondering to myself, I'm standing in a $2+ billion stadium. should I even be thinking about the old stadium while standing in here? Should this place have blown me away to a degree where I'm not even thinking about the old stadium? And I still haven't answered that question yet. Am I thinking of the old stadium just because of how much I love the old stadium, or am I thinking of the old stadium because I'd rather be in the old stadium than the new one? I personally never thought that they needed a new one, but obviously I was never going to argue to the idea that they were going to get a new one. They were always going to get a new one. You look around the league, who isn't getting a new stadium? Everyone is. Everyone's getting a new stadium, and this was always going to happen for the Bills, who have been playing in the same venue for, 50 plus years. So those were my initial thoughts, where it's kind of heavy. The first time you go in there, if you've been a longtime Bills fan who's been going to games for a long time, it's going to feel heavy, I think, at first. So you make your way up to the 300s. Now, this is where I'm noted I kind of had my first eyebrow raise. I don't know how many of you have been to MetLife, but when you enter MetLife, you're immediately greeted by what seems to be an absurdly large amount of escalators. I don't know if it's 4 escalators wide, 6 escalators wide. It's a lot. It might be even 8 escalators wide. Don't quote me on it. I should know. I've been there 100 times. But there's a lot of escalators when you immediately enter MetLife. And I noticed as we're going to the next floor, there was one escalator, almost like you're in the mall. There's just one escalator. The difference, however, is that when you're at the mall, how many people are getting on the escalator at the same time? Not that many. When you're at a football stadium and the only way to enter is through the first floor, and the only way to get to the second floor is to hike it up or take the escalator, and as we know, most people are opting for the escalator, you're going to be waiting You're going to be waiting a minute. And I was kind of shocked to see that there weren't more escalators. From what I could tell, there's like one going up and one going down on each side of the stadium. That's it. The rest, you're hiking it. And now you might be thinking, well, that's fine. I'll just walk it. Yeah, that's fine. But not everybody's going to be able to do that. You have older fans, right? You got younger fans with certain needs. That was kind of shocking to me, the lack of escalators to go up for a stadium that is incredibly steep, which we'll talk about in a second. The other thing, too, I noticed, and once again, this is just initial impressions, and these are my impressions, right? This is just my experience that I have weighed in on no one else's. We'll talk about what other people are saying and what my thoughts are on that as well and how they compare to what I saw. I personally noticed, alongside with my dad, there seemed to be a lack of bathrooms too, where we're walking around and we're like, all right, let's figure out what the plan would be if we're at a game here. And it just felt like we were looking and looking. And he's like, do you see one yet? And I'm like, no, I don't. And I'm like, huh? And you kept going and going. And by the time you found one, you were kind of like, oh, that felt like it took way too long to find. One thing I noticed, you'd figure, I don't know, that would be like one of the top priorities of a stadium, to have a bunch of bathrooms. Didn't seem to be a ton from what I could tell. All right, so we make our way up to the 300 level. Now, up here is where you have the Labatt Skyline deck, is it? I think it's hilarious. People are saying, because obviously when you think of a skyline, you think of New York City, you think of Chicago. I don't think anybody's thinking of the city of Buffalo, which kind of makes it endearing, right? Because there literally is one of those viewfinders where you put a quarter in and you can look out at the skyline of Buffalo. It's just a cool like gathering spot. I don't know how many people are going to be gravitating to the skyline deck to get that money shot of the city of Buffalo. But it just seemed like more of a cool place to kind of look out and just take it all in Because I'll be honest with you, when you stand at the skyline deck, the majority of what you're seeing is the parking lot. That's what it is. You really got to squint to see the illustrious skyline of Buffalo. But I love that because I think most people, to me, and I don't know if this was the intention, I doubt it was, but it's just like, it is kind of funny. The skyline deck, and it's the city of Buffalo. I mean, no one's thinking of the city of Buffalo when you're thinking of a skyline. But that's kind of why I liked it, because I think it's a little bit funny. But that's a cool area. One other thing I noticed as we're making our way up to the 300s, we're walking around the 100s, there is no shortage of Buffalo Bills stores. There is a Bills store what feels like every 10 feet. If you are looking for merch, if you're looking for a jersey, whatever, have no fear, because you will have an ample amount of opportunity to purchase something. There felt like every 10 feet there was a Bills store. And now I got to describe these to those who haven't been yet. These Bills stores, they're miniature hallways. You can enter in from either side of the concourse, and you can't go to the left, you can't go to the right. It is literally a hallway. They're very small with a very select amount of merchandise. You can go in one way and out the other way. There just seem to be a ton of those. There's a bunch of different concession stands that are like this too. The concession stands, there are new concession stands. Now, there are some like the old ones where you go and have someone give you the food and then you go and pay for it. There are others where you go and grab the food yourself and then you go and like use a self-checkout. And I thought that was interesting. I don't know how they're going to police people not just walking in there and just grabbing stuff. Like, for instance, you walk in there and there was this giant display of massive cookies. I'm talking like cookies the size of a small pizza. And they're just sitting on like this warmer. And if you're walking by them, I mean, I'm telling you, you almost bump into them, the cookies that are just there. And I was just wondering how this whole thing's going to work. It's literally just a hallway with a bunch of food and then like self-checkout kiosks. So that was different. 300 level, love the view. Love the view. I'm a big fan of a higher seat. Yeah, the lower bowl's great, and I'll talk about that in a minute because that's where we wound up sitting, and trust me, it's great. But I love the all 22 vantage point when you're at the stadium. You're getting that in a just terrific way in the 300s. The 300s, I think, just terrific seats all around. Now, let me transition into something that I had said on my stadium tour that I put out on my social media that I've been getting some kickback on. Because I said that there wasn't a bad seat in the house. I want to apologize to everyone who was under the impression that I meant every single seat in the house. Unfortunately, I did not have the time to go and sit in every single seat in the stadium. Here's what I meant by that. Whether you were in, because me and my dad went to every level, and we checked out at least one or two sections in every level. And I'll talk about the 400s in a second, because I got a lot to say about the 400s. The one thing that I unequivocally thought in every level, first, second, third, fourth, the view of the field I thought was awesome. In my opinion, based on what I saw. And I'll be 100% honest, when we left and I saw that the massive blowback was of the views of the field, I was stunned. Now, those are warranted. The pictures I've seen in the pushback on the inability to see the obstructed view, those are warranted. I hadn't seen that in person. We just went to different sections and checked out different seats. In terms of the vantage point of the field, in every area that my dad and I went, we both thought you had a killer view. Whether that was in the first level, the second level, the third level, the fourth level. In my opinion, my favorite of the four was the 300s. I just thought you had a perfect view of everything. And it's not too far up either, like the 400s. The 300s, I think, is like the perfect middle ground. And luckily, those should, of course, be more affordable than, sitting in the lower bowl. I think eventually, when time goes on here, the 300s will be, I think, the best bang for your buck in terms of view and in terms of dollar value. Loved the 300s. I was actually, I was shocked that the big pushback, the big blowback was the views. There were other things that wouldn't have shocked me. We'll talk about everything, of course. I was shocked by that because the one thing my dad and I both agreed on in terms of an overwhelming positive was that there just really wasn't a bad view in the place based on everywhere we had went and saw. Now, I will say, to what I'm seeing online, these images, a couple of the seats, by the way, that were posted that are considered to be, just unviewable seats. How the hell would you purchase these? A couple of these seats that were posted, I don't believe are even available to purchase tickets for a game. They're either just there or they're there for events and concerts. They're not game seats. So keep that in mind. But there are also plenty of images that have come out from season ticket holders themselves, those who own the seats and will be sitting in those seats until they no longer own the PSL. Plenty of images have come out of obstructed views, whether that be from guardrails, whether that be from steps. My thoughts on this, because I've read a few of these. If you were told that the obstructed view was not going to be there, or if you were told it wasn't going to be an issue, or if you were told it was going to look different than what it wound up looking like, and if your in-person experience is anything less than what you were told, then that's 100% wrong and needs to be corrected ASAP. These tickets are far too expensive. These PSLs are far too expensive. People spend far too much of their hard-earned money and are far too dedicated to the team and the organization and going to these games to have anything less than exactly what they signed up for. And I've read a few stories from people that were showed one thing, showed up to the game, and their view was a completely other thing, and not in a good way. That's not right. If you were told off the bat, listen, this is what you're signing up for. I'm being 100% transparent with you. Your seats will have some sort of obstruction. Your view will have some sort of obstruction. You were told that off the rip, and you said, I understand, I sign off on that. It's a whole different story. You signed up for it. I can't hear out the complaints of people who knew what they signed up for. If you were given a rendering that matches exactly what you're sitting in now, and it's not a great view, and you were told, listen, there's going to be an obstructed view, and you signed the dotted line, that's on you. But if you were told, listen, you're not going to have an obstructed view, or here's what it looks like, and as you can see, not a big deal, or you were shown something completely different, and you show up to your seats, and you're like, wait a minute, well, I wouldn't have signed up for this. That needs to be corrected ASAP, and I've seen some of this. There's one example. I'll share it here, because this is one that I think is exactly kind of what I'm talking about here, where you are apparently told one thing and you are greeted to an entirely other thing. This was shared by Derek Piatowski on Twitter. So this is his seat, his actual seat. Like, he showed up on Saturday night, and as you can see, I mean, this isn't ideal. This is covering up, from your vantage point, this is covering up half your view. Now, from what he had said, this is what he was shown, and this is completely different. As you can see, based on the rendering here, there's no glass encasement blocking the field. There's nothing here. The steps are going up that way. In actuality, they're coming up this way. That's completely different. And as you can see, the seat is the exact same seat. It's not like Derek went and sat in another section and maybe, sat in the wrong seat by accident and was misinformed. No. This is the same exact seat. You can tell based on the view. There's the Highmark logo and the billboard, and obviously you're in the corner end zone here, corner end zone. It's completely different. And there's no obstruction. If I'm Derek, oh yeah, something's got to be done about that. I mean, that's no question. Sorry. It's one thing if, you buy a ticket to the Jets game and you get there and you were under the impression it was one thing and it's another thing and it's one-off. Okay, sure. Well, I mean, sucks. It's a whole other thing when you bought a PSL, you own that seat, and you were under the impression that your seats were going to be what you signed up for, and they're entirely different. So there are, there are credible one-off issues right now. That seems to be the case, and this is the big talking point really around sports media right now. The Bills are catching some pretty decent blowback here. The Bills are catching some blowback here over the seats. I'll say again, I've seen the examples people have posted, and I wouldn't be thrilled if that were me. If I had signed up for it, that's different. I knew what I signed up for. If I didn't and it was another thing, that's an entirely different scenario. My experience, however, where I went, and it wasn't like I was cherry picking the best seats in the house. I really wasn't. Me and my dad we walked, man. That was our goal when we went here. Yeah, we wanted to watch the guys practice and whatever, but our goal was to really check the new stadium out because we don't know when we're going to get back. We don't know when we're going to get back there. This could be the first time we get in there for a while, so we really wanted to check the new place out. So we really did our due diligence, walking around and checking out everything we could, and we wanted to make a point to see what all the different sections and seats would look like should we sit there for a game. And everywhere we went, I was blown away by how good of a view you did have. That includes the 400s. Let's talk about it. Wow. The 400s are, in terms of steepness, the 400 level at the new Highmark Stadium is Mount Everest compared to the Ralph. It is like this. I mean, if a 90-degree angle is like this, I mean, it feels like it's 100% vertical. It is up there, and you feel it. Look it. I don't care if you're 80 or you're 10. I don't care if you weigh 300 pounds or 100 pounds. I don't care if you're a triathlete or you've never ran a day in your life. You're feeling it when you get to the top of that, the tippy top of the 400s. My dad and I wanted to go to the top, see what it looks like up there, check out what the top of the stadium is. It is like this. The incline is 10 times what it was at the old stadium. Now, the interesting thing about the 400s is that not only is it super steep, there's only one way to get in and out, and that's the lower bowl, right? The lower bowl coming up. So you can't come in coming down, which is, I think pretty standard. Other levels and other stadiums, including this one, I believe, at least other stadiums I've been to, you can come in and out of top or bottom. But since there's only the roof essentially at the top, nowhere to go out of. So with how steep it is, and then only having one aisleway per section, I don't know. It's very steep to the point where it makes you wonder with as many people walking up and down, if people are going to be like, oh my God, this is just too much. Or say you've been partying in the parking lot all day, 8 p.m. game, going up and down those steps, it doesn't seem ideal. It doesn't. Many people that have sat at the highest point of the Ralph or in the higher sections are going to be aware of the bathrooms that are up top. There were bathrooms at the top of the Ralph. Really convenient because you didn't have to walk all the way down and then into the concourse and then all the way back up. You had bathrooms dedicated to those areas. That is no longer the case. No longer the case. There are no bathrooms at the top. So if you sit up top of the 400s and you sit towards the right, because here's another thing. If you are in like the corners, there's only one way down. There's not one on the other side either. So you're going to have to go all the way across through all the people, all the way down, and then all the way into the concourses, all the way back in, all the way up, and then all the way down again. So, if you've had a couple of sodas out in the parking lot, and you got to go up and down a couple of times a game, man, I mean, I'm telling you. It's going to make you think twice about.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
How much liquid intake you are partaking in before you head in there. My dad and I, we wouldn't sit in the 400s was our takeaway. That was just what we wouldn't. It just seems like it would be a bit too inconvenient for a variety of different reasons. It's very, very steep, and it just seems like getting in and out of there, like if you want to go get a beer, if you want to go to the bathroom, if you want to do whatever, it's just not set up in a way where that's convenient at all. At all. 400s would not be my choice. This is why, for me, the 300 section, I just think the 300s are great. As Sandra's saying, you could always wear it. Depends. I had a couple of people say that to me on Twitter, which, by the way, I posted a video of the steepness of this on my Twitter. If you go to my Twitter, I have a video. Actually, I can pull it up just to give you an idea of what we're looking at here. Because, this is, I'm comparing this. Obviously, there's tons of different stadiums across the country. I'm more so comparing this to what we are used to in Buffalo. I mean, that's the big takeaway here, right? Yeah, there's other stadiums, but what's this like compared to the Ralph, which the majority of us are used to and spend the most time at? And this is a noticeable difference, in my opinion. So here we are at the top here, like I mentioned, and this is what you're looking at. I mean, that's steep. Does that not look like if you were to fall, you would just fall off the face of the earth? That is steep. Look at that. Now, Bartek making a good point. There's benefits and disadvantages to everything. The big benefit here is you're getting nothing on you up here. You are fully covered by that canopy. You're not getting a drop of rain on you, a drop of snow on you. And like I mentioned, I didn't find a bad view of the field in the house. This, to me, sorry, there's plenty of people that'll be like, oh, the team will look like ants up there. Maybe. But I love a high seat. I'm sorry, I think that's a killer view. I love sitting high. To me, this is the benefit of the incline and the steepness, by the way, is that you are like overarching the field and you got a killer look at the field. And at the end of the day, this is what it all comes down to. What's the game like? Like what's the viewing experience like? And from what I saw, like watching the game, you're going to be in good shape. You're going to be in good shape. And really, that's what matters the most. Yes, the bells, the whistles, this, to that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. But at the end of the day, you're there to watch the Buffalo Bills hopefully win the damn game. And in doing that, you're going to be able to do that in a very enjoyable fashion, I think, everywhere except for the handful of areas that have been posted online. But as you can see, man, I mean, you got to earn it up here. You got to earn it up here. You know, Sean's saying, God forbid people walk. Yeah, I get it. You know, I mean, but you got older fans, right? You know, you got fans that maybe aren't in position anymore to be walking like this. And I understand, you know what you sign up for. But if people were going in here thinking it was going to be the equivalent of what the old stadium was, no. Now, Torre's making a good point. Now, I've been to Beaver Stadium many a time in my life. Yeah, you really do need oxygen in there because that holds nearly 110,000. I mean, we're talking about almost double the size of this stadium, and you're up there. It's way higher. It's way higher, but it's also, I would say, it's a little bit like more shallow than the new Highmark Torre. Like, I was thinking about how I would compare this to Beaver Stadium. On the sides of Beaver Stadium, where it's all bleachers, like on the wings. Maybe not as much up, like on the end zones, though. Yeah, that's steep. Yeah, for sure. You're up there. And it's also a much larger stadium. 400s, this was where I just was kind of like, you know what? This wouldn't be... You got to factor this in as well right now. You know, if these tickets were $50, maybe you think differently, right? Because, like, you know, Sean said, you know, God forbid people walk or whatever. Yeah, you're going to sacrifice some conveniences, of course, when you are in the highest point of the stadium. I get that. Here's the thing, though. You're not paying, right now, based on the aftermarket prices, the way that they currently are, you're not paying a price that would reflect losing those amenities. This is probably what right now? I haven't checked in a while, but what's this ticket going for on the opening night there? Probably like $400. This is where I would say $400 for this experience up here. I would say, you know, you might be better off watching this one from home. $50, you know, for a game in a couple of years from now, sure. It's all relative. As it stands right now, for those who are looking for the cheapest entry point into getting into the stadium for like the first game or whatever, this is what you're looking at, and I think that's a tall price to pay for this experience up here. I'm dying to see, you know, what winds up coming of the no bathrooms up here and of the steepness here that people aren't used to. I'm just dying to see if this winds up becoming something that we hear about frequently or if it winds up not being a problem at all. My dad told me, because I wasn't aware of this, for the most part, I was always under the impression that the bathrooms at the Ralph up top were there forever, and he told me no. That was something that was added after the fact because of the amount of complaints from people that had to go up and down so frequently and how far away the bathrooms were from that level in the stadium. They were added afterwards. So the thing you got to understand here is that people that sit up here regularly, season ticket holders, were used to that convenience. They were used to that amenity. They were used to having bathrooms in their sections. Now that's gone. And I think when you were used to something and it's gone and you're paying a premium to sit in the same type of seat that you once sat in and now you don't have that, I could see that being something that winds up being a complaint that we hear about as time goes on here and more people go into the stadium. Okay, so let's talk about the overall experience itself. Much like everything else anymore, you got a lot of people who say, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen, and anyone who says anything otherwise is just wrong. This is so great that any critique is just you hating, you're a miserable person, you hate life, you can't find the joy in anything. There's a lot of that with everything anymore. Just like blind positivity without a single critical thought. It drives me nuts. There's also the polar end of that, the polar opposite end of that. This place is the worst place ever constructed. I've never seen a bigger dump in my entire life. How the hell did this place cost $2 billion? This place is the worst stadium in the NFL. I'm never going back. There's a lot of that. like most times when stuff like this comes about, where there's just an obscene amount of people that can't find a positive in the place. There's an obscene amount of people that can't find a negative in the place. I tend to lie in the middle. I tend to sit on top of the fence. Is the new Highmark Stadium up there with the greatest stadiums in the NFL? In my opinion, the answer is no. It is not. Is the new Highmark Stadium in the realm of the worst stadiums in the NFL? In my opinion, no. The answer is not. If you want my blanket review, my blanket statement on my thoughts on the new stadium, it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. I don't think it's a great stadium. It's okay. It's not nearly as bad as some people are making it out to be. And in my opinion, it's not nearly as great as some people are making it out to be. It just isn't. You walk into this stadium, and once again, these are my thoughts. My thoughts influenced by nobody else. This was my experience, and yes, I went to the stadium. I'm not making this up on secondhand accounts based on what I saw online. I went. This does not feel, in my opinion, the in-person experience that I had. It did not feel like this stadium opened that night. If you were to have dropped me into that stadium and told me that it was 15 years old, I would have had no reason to not believe you. This is where it gets a little tough for me because I think many of you who have watched me for a long time know that I have been very critical of MetLife Stadium. Extremely. The inside of this stadium is very MetLife. The way I've described it, the inside of this stadium is almost a hybrid between MetLife and Gillette. Ironically enough, two other AFC East teams. That is the vibe from the inside that I got. It is a hybrid of Gillette and MetLife. On the exterior, Gillette doesn't come close visually. And by the way, I'm just going to preface this once. Sean saying, come on, Bob, that's not even true. It's my truth, brother. I went to the stadium. These are my thoughts. It's my truth. You guys can think whatever you want. I'm not telling you what to think. I'm telling you what I think. Now, Sean, to your point, the exterior of MetLife doesn't come close. It's not even close. It's not even in the same realm. Visually, on the exterior of the new Highmark, it's gorgeous. And it puts MetLife to shame. I mean, MetLife looks like a giant metal can, a metal tin. Looks like a UFO. Not in a great way. The new Highmark Stadium is visually stunning on the outside. On the interior, it gives me a lot of MetLife vibes, mixed with some Gillette vibes. And by the way, I think that Gillette is extraordinary. But here's the thing. MetLife opened in 2010. That's a 16-year-old stadium. And Gillette opened in 2002. I just don't get the impression from this stadium that it was built in 2026 and has the overall aura of these newer stadiums that have been built in recent years that really do make you feel like you are in this state-of-the-art, world-class, futuristic type building. Now, it's up to you whether or not that matters to you. I've been to SoFi. And to me, like, yes, visually, it's unbelievable. The exterior is insane. The Jumbotron is, you've never seen anything like it. But it's a very corporate vibe, and I don't really feel like I'm in, like, this haven of football. I kind of feel like I'm in this corporate complex where a football game's going on. And, of course, that has everything to do with the culture of the fan base and the culture of the organization in the area, right? You can only do so much with the stadium itself. You do get that corporate vibe a bit when you go here, but the thing is you're comparing it to the Ralph. And that's the problem. Like, it's never going to be the Ralph. You're used to walking in and putting your hard hat on and being in that insane, gritty environment. That's not this when you walk in. You just don't get that vibe. Maybe over time that happens. But the interior of the building, it's okay. It's okay. It's a nice stadium. But it is not this world-class, state-of-the-art, visionary-backed stadium. It is not to me. If you go to MetLife, which is 16 years old, if you go to Gillette, which is nearly 25 years old, it really doesn't feel outdated at all compared to the interior of this stadium. You know, some of the things that stand out. Alex Brasky tweeted out the Jumbotrons, and that went nuclear, talking about the size of them. Yeah, they are small. They are small. For a new stadium, those are small Jumbotrons. I was not under the impression, like going into it, I didn't know what the size was. In fact, I didn't know how many there were going to be. I'll give credit to MetLife. If you've been, there are massive Jumbotrons in all four corners of the stadium. I like that. Here, there are two Jumbotrons on either side. They're smaller than usual to begin with, but the big problem here, and this is what could solve the size issue, is that they are, they're large enough, I would think, but the problem is, let's say for math's sake, let's say that the Jumbotron is 75 feet long. I'm just making that up. Let's just hypothetically say it's 75 feet long. 25 feet of it on the left and 25 feet of it on the right are dedicated to just random stuff. Advertisements, just random stuff that isn't the game or a replay. So what I'm saying is 25% is dedicated to like infographics or whatever. 25% of it's dedicated to almost being a billboard. And then the other 25% of it is dedicated to actually showing replays and the game. That's why I think it feels even smaller than it actually is. If you were to have dedicated the whole thing to it being dedicated to the game, I think it feels different. But that's why I think it feels even smaller. Right? They are small. I mean, there's no other way to put it. They are. That's one thing I think that it would kind of blow your mind if they were bigger. It would kind of make you feel like, oh, you're in a new stadium. Now, here's another thing that I'll show you here. On my video that I took here, you notice how we have the video board lining the section here? You see that? Well, that's only on this section. There's nothing here. It's just concrete. There's nothing here. It's just concrete. Then there's a very, very small miniature one right here. I just saw renderings of the new Tennessee Titans stadium, and every single one of these sections running along the side is completely entrenched with video boards. That's one of those things that would make you feel like it's a brand new stadium. It would make you feel like it's high tech, up to date. I was shocked at the lack of these. There's only one. And I'm just looking at things that I think kind of add to the idea that it doesn't feel like it's this brand new stadium, and this is one of them. This is one of these things. Now, another thing is you'll notice that the color is a lot of just bland concrete. Concrete color. And this stood out to me and my dad. My dad brought it to my attention when we were there. And then I'm kind of like, yeah, I see what you're saying. He's like, it just kind of looks drab. Like it kind of looks dull because everything, the vast majority of what you're seeing is concrete. And this is when it hit me that I thought that it was going to be different. And based on the renderings, I believe it was supposed to be different. I'm going to go back to Derek Piatowski's rendering that he posted of his PSL tickets. And it's when I was looking at it, I noticed right off the bat something that stood out that actually isn't in the stadium. And if you take a look, what do you notice? Every section that I just pointed out to you that was concrete like right here, down, like these areas, right, like right here, right, in particular, right here, it's all painted blue. And look at how much different I think that looks. Let me do a side by side here. Let me do a side by side comparison to kind of show you, I think, how much better it looks with the blue, because there's part of it that kind of just looks a bit drab. This will show you. So here is a picture I took. And as you can see, this is all concrete color, all of it. It just looks like you're in a parking garage almost based on the color of it. But look at what the rendering showed. It was supposed to be blue. Now, Bartek's saying they might still paint it. No, I don't know. I mean, opening night was the other day. Unless they plan on painting it this week, I don't know. I like, you already have the video boards installed and stuff, BT. I mean, I don't know if that's in the works. It would look so much better. It would look so much better if they painted this blue like what looked to be in the intention here. And that kind of stood out to me. Because my dad brought that to my attention. I'm like, yeah, like, you're right. It does kind of just look bland. And I think that blue paint would go a long way. Jay Ham stopping in with a super chat saying, stadium looks good to me. Lighting inside is perfect. It makes it look like an indoor stadium, but it's obviously going to be improved later. The lighting is great. Me and my dad noticed that too, Jay Ham. Lighting is great, and it's all up top. If you look, like, you know how you're used to seeing these big stadium lights kind of overarching a stadium? They're all located underneath of the arch here that covers the stadium. And I thought that the lighting was great. I also really like the ambient lighting as well, which I got to imagine will change colors and stuff. Now, we left before it got like pitch black out, but I'm interested to see what this looks like on opening night. 8:30 p.m. Eastern against the Lions. Like, are they going to be switching the color of this up between blue and red and fading out? That's going to look really good. The lighting, good catch, Jay Ham. We noticed that as well. Really did like how that looked, and how they installed it was unique. I've never really seen it kind of like that, where it's not above, the awning. Now, in terms of the awning and the wind, right? That was the big thing. There's going to be no wind in the stadium. That was what we kept hearing, right? There seems to be some conflicting accounts of that type of that experience, the wind factor inside. I will tell you this. When I was at the 300 level, you feel wind. No question about it. In the 300 level, you feel wind like you would anywhere else on the planet. You just feel it. So, to those who thought that there was like no wind making its way inside the stadium at all, that isn't the case. I don't know if that was the intention. I think some people thought that, and I think there was part of me that maybe anticipated that as well. Not the case. You're feeling the wind. No question. Now, when I went down to the 100 level, which is where I'm at in this image here, great seats, by the way. I mean, shout out to Mountain Man. Man, these are mint. I mean, you imagine playoff game, Bills driving this way to win it. Oh, Mountain Man, Jay Ham in the building. But, oh, Mountain Man. By the way, the Bills come out. See my beautiful caricature down here? The Bills come out right here. This is the Bills tunnel. They come out right here, as you can see. Elvis himself, that's where he's at. And this is the tunnel the Bills come out of right here. So, Mountain Man, I mean, you are just set up. You are just set up. Now, down in this section, I will say I personally, 100 level, did not feel the wind at all. I read on Twitter, however, multiple other people in the 100 level that said that they did feel it. I don't care if I can feel it. Can the players feel it? Is it going to affect the ball trajectory when I'm throwing and kicking? That's what I want to know. Because I think we were told that the wind element of course, that is a major factor in Buffalo, New York, was going to be heavily mitigated, if not eliminated, in this new stadium. Obviously, that's something where we will find out in time, and it won't take long. We will get a windy game. Once again, this is Buffalo, New York. There will be a windy day in Orchard Park, and we will find out if that has any impact on the field. Like I said, I felt it in the threes, did not feel it in the ones. Other people I talked to did. Now, you're just looking at this image, by the way, and I'll ask you guys again, based on what you're seeing. This is why I say, the stadium's fine. It's nice looking, right? It's nice. But you've seen the inside of, SoFi, and you've seen the inside of the Raiders' new stadium. Hell, you've seen the inside of, Mercedes-Benz, where the Falcons play. You've seen the inside of where the Vikings play. Be honest, when you look at this, put the Bills bias aside, when you look, does this look like a stadium that opened over the weekend? I don't think it does. Now, I'm not saying that we got to have all the bells and whistles, but when you spend over $2 billion on a stadium and it's brand new, I think you are expected to be wowed. I think many people expect to be wowed. The most wowed I was outside of the stadium. The exterior of the stadium is where I got my wow moment. And I think mainly because of how much larger it looks than the old stadium and how gorgeous the concourse is and the bison and whatever. I think the outside of the stadium is where I got my wow moment. On the inside of the stadium, there really isn't that wow moment. Wow. There isn't. For me, at least, there wasn't. Doesn't mean it's a bad stadium. And like I said, from what I saw, visually watching the game, you're in good hands here. There's going to be some great views. And I feel bad for those who are in the rare spots, it looks like, that have the obstructed views and didn't know. Yeah. And I see people coming in, Kyle, the latest technology is in the field and what's under it. And don't get me wrong, the field might be my favorite part of this whole thing. I mean, this is all grass. Look at how beautiful this looks. The grass is just incredible. And yeah, you're right. The tech there to be able to keep the snow from being an issue and whatever else. No doubt about it, man. This is a beautiful field. And Jeff Green saying, just hating on it is what you're doing. I mean, I don't know if you just joined in here, Jeff. I spent an hour talking about a variety of different things. The last thing I've done is hate on this. I'm giving you my objective, in-person perspective on this place. I've been to a lot of different stadiums in my lifetime. This stadium does not give you the impression that it was opened over the weekend and that it is a brand new, that it's the newest stadium in the NFL. To me, it gives you the impression of a stadium that was built within the last 15 or so years. And maybe does some of this have to do with my love and admiration for the old stadium? Yes. But I think when you have a brand new $2 billion stadium, I think that you are expecting that wow moment when you go for the first time. And I guess I just didn't have that. Now, Jeff said he was there over the weekend too. I like the stadium. I don't dislike it. I really don't. But I'm wondering, if I'm in the brand new stadium, should I be thinking about being in the old stadium, right? Should I be longing to be in the stadium that was open back in the 70s? I feel like when I walk in here, I should be reminded why we have a new stadium. I feel like when I walk in here, I should be like, yeah, I love the Ralph, but man, this is it. And I just didn't feel that. I kind of longed for the Ralph when I was in here. Now, this could be completely based in nostalgia. I don't know. I can't control that. I can't control emotionally how I feel about the connection to the old stadium. Sean's saying, you always think about your ex for a bit when you got a new girl. And that's, I think somebody else had made that point to me. But the thing is, I think I was feeling like I wanted to get back with my ex, Sean. Because I'm thinking about it and I'm like, I never had a problem with my ex. I loved my ex. Me and my ex had a great relationship, man. I loved her. Sure, she had her, There was the flaws there, but find me the relationship that doesn't have the flaws. Now, I know that relationship is done and it's never coming back. She moved far away. She moved to another country. It's over. It's over. And I'm in a new relationship now. And look, it's fine. It's fine. But I think there's always going to be part of me that thinks about the old gal. There's going to be part of me that always will not just remember the old gal, but miss the old gal. Great question. And feel free to bring your questions in, ladies and gentlemen. Cameron. The real question, Zebot, is, was it worth the money? Once again, shout out to my main man, the Mountain Man. He has seasons and was gracious enough to give me his because he could not make it. Let me check the get-in price right now. Let me check the get-in price of opening night. We'll base it on that. I'll go to Ticketmaster, and I will type in Buffalo. Actually, I'll do it on this so you guys can see it. Let's see. Ticketmaster. God, it knows where I live, by the way. Listen. We still got to get, like, it could be worse. Okay. Here we go. Opening night, September 17th, against the Lions. My God. Cameron, the answer is a resounding all caps no. It is a resounding all caps absolutely not. Now, look it. You do whatever you got to do. Everyone. If you are looking at this and saying there's only ever going to be one opening night, one first ever game in this stadium, I'm getting in there by hell or high water. I don't care if I got to sell my plasma. I don't care if I got to donate a kidney and get money in return. I don't care if I got to sell my car. I'm going in there. Then do it. We all spend frivolous money on outlandish things sometimes. Might not make sense to anybody else, but it made sense to us in the moment because we wanted to do it. We loved it. We had to do it. If that's you, that's fine. We've all done that before. Like, if you're on the fence, though, like, I don't know. I'm sorry. For these prices, absolutely not. This is per ticket. Do you understand, by the way, 431, this is the section I showed you. 431 is the section I showed you where you were at the absolute top. That's 431. There isn't a planet that I spend $623 to sit in that seat for a Thursday night football game. Absolutely not. I mean, this is before fees. Oh. Because you got to buy two minimum, too. I don't think you can just get, right? At least the way this is set up. I'm not doing all this because then it's going to keep bugging me about buying them. It probably already will. Your get-in price for 2 tickets is over $1,200. So to answer your question, Cameron, based on the current market, the answer for me would be absolutely not. No way in hell. Now, when these prices fall eventually, whether that's a few months, whether that's a few years, I don't know. They will eventually fall. The hype will die or dissipate, and these will become affordable. Will they ever be Ralph Wilson Stadium affordable? I somewhat doubt it. But will they be more affordable than $623 to sit on the roof? I would imagine so. Now, if we're looking at it from basic, going in, to answer your question, Cam, going to see the Bills is worth some money. To what degree, it's up to you. Stadium aside, going to see the Bills is worth it. It's a lot of fun. It's great. It's the best. It's awesome. To what degree, though, and this is coming from somebody who's been to a lot of games, there's a threshold for me that I don't even consider it. And I'll be honest, for me, that threshold, it differs in the postseason because that's a completely different animal. But regular season, max 250 all in. I'm talking 250 after fees, and it's got to be like, I'm talking a massive game. Like, it's got to be a Chiefs game. It really might be where it stops and starts, honestly. And it might have to be like a late season game with something on the line. If we're talking just regular, like, first couple months, regular season, dude, I gotta see a 1 as the first digit, and it's got to be a 3-digit number, not a 4-digit number. That's where I'm at, and it's got to be mid to low ones. But prices will come down at some point. It's just a matter of when and how much they come down, but they will. Somebody asked me to check out the next game, which would be against the Chargers. The Nickel City debut game. These could be going for $1,000 to go and see those in person. Okay, so look at, we're already seeing, I'm glad someone asked me to do this. We're already seeing a massive difference here. We're talking about almost cutting that price in half. Now, if you ask me, am I still paying almost $400 before fees? I am not. I personally am not. Is that a much better get-in price against a playoff team in the Chargers? I mean, it's not like you're going and watching them play the Dolphins. This is still a big game. Is this, in my opinion, much more worth your money than the week prior for double the price? Yes. But you're, of course, paying that premium to say, I was at the first ever game at the new Highmark Stadium. That's what you're paying for. You got to remember, folks. Yes, you're paying to go to the game, and it's the first game of the year, and at home, and it's the first ever game there, whatever. You are paying for the ability 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. Did you know that I was at the first ever game at the new Highmark Stadium? Yes, I was indeed. I paid $623. And at this current time, that'd be worth about $10,000, the way things have gone over the last 40 years. But I said I had to be in there no matter what. I paid it. I sold my car. I sold my home. I sold my plaza, and I was in the building for Bills Lions on Thursday Night Football in week 2, the first ever home opener at the new Highmark. That's what you're paying for. And yeah, is that a cool story? Hell yeah, it is. Hell yeah, I'd be using that all the time. All the time. Oh yeah, I was in there, man. I was in there. Damn right I was there. I was there. So I get it. But it's just not what I'm going to be doing. But I totally get it. You only get one shot. You only get one shot to go to the first ever game. I get that. Caroline keeps calling me. She's at the zoo with Zoe. Say that 3 times fast. So overall, the overall experience is okay. It's fine. It's fine. And like everything else, I mean, like, isn't this like the level? Like, this is most things in life, I think. Sure, we all have our thing that we're like, dude, this is the greatest thing ever. Like, sorry if you disagree. Don't care what you think. This is the greatest thing ever, and that's how I see it. We all have our thing where we're like, dude, this is awful. I hate this. I don't care what you think. This blows. Sorry. Don't like it. Hate it. We all have that. And then I think for most things we have the, no, it's good. You ever had somebody tell you, oh, dude, you gotta see this movie. You gotta see this movie. I mean, I left the theater like this. Oh my God. I was wiping tears away. I was white knuckling the steering wheel on the way home. Just like, I can't believe what I just witnessed. You gotta go see it. You gotta. And you go and see it. And you walk out of there and you go, that was okay. That was okay. That was a good movie. It was a good movie. I mean, the guy who told me to go see it, I mean, God bless him. I don't think it was to that degree. But hey, it was a good movie. Didn't dislike it. Then you have the person that's like, oh my God, you're going to see that movie? Oh, that movie's horrible. Oh my, we got up and left. It was so bad. I looked at the wife. I said, you want to get out of here? Because I'm done. And then you go and see the movie and you're like, no, that's okay. I didn't think it was that bad. It was fine. I enjoyed it. Same thing with a restaurant. Oh, you got to go check out the new restaurant downtown. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. We waited 2 hours to sit at the bar, and I'll tell you, I would have waited 2 more. I would have waited 2 days to get my hands on that porterhouse. You go to the restaurant, and you get the porterhouse, and you go, oh, that's okay. It was good. I'd go back. I wouldn't wait 2 hours. Wouldn't pay $620. Everything's relative, man. And so for those who absolutely love it, like, that's great. Yeah, like, Sean, you know how much I've dealt with this in my life? It's like when people tell me DMB is amazing. Do you know how much I've dealt with that? Do you know DMB has to be one of the most polarizing bands on the planet? People hate him. People hate Dave. I've seen Dave over 100 times. I'm not telling anybody to go see him. When people say, should I go see him? I go, yeah. If you ask me, you should. If you ask somebody else, you probably shouldn't. Do you like jammy music? Do you like 30-minute songs? Do you like rock? Like, I don't know. What are you into? That's the thing. This is most things in life. So, but the thing of it is, though, is when you're online, you don't see that. When you're online, what you see is the absolute farthest end of both sides of the spectrum. Because you want to know what doesn't get attention, really? Is saying, no, it's okay. It was okay. If I make a tweet saying, guys, this stadium, I mean, I'll tell you what, it was almost like they resurrected the Coliseum in its infancy out in Rome. Like, this is what it is. It's going to get some love. If I tweet out, guys, don't even bother. Stadium, the worst. That's going to get a lot of traction. I don't know about love. It's going to get a lot of traction. But if I tweet out, hey, it was okay. And I basically did. I tweeted out, I said, there's a lot to love about this stadium. And I think there is. I think the exterior is incredible. I love the grass field. I think there's really good views all around. And I know I've taken some heat for that. Somebody told me, because I said, based on my experience, there wasn't a bad seat. God forbid I didn't get to every seat in the place. Next time I will. Because I had somebody say to me, next time, do your due diligence before making a claim like that. Do your due diligence, as if to say, next time, go and sit in every single seat in that stadium until you claim that there isn't a bad view in the place. No. I walked around. I looked around. Good views are in abundance. And I feel really bad for those that were not told about the obstructed views and wound up having them. That's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing. It's a whole different thing. And those people, that needs to be corrected ASAP. That needs to be made right. That needs to be absolutely made right. And I hope it is. But that's that. That's the new stadium in a nutshell. It's good. It's fine. It's nice. It's nice. And maybe that's okay. Maybe that's okay. It doesn't need to be. Maybe maybe that's what will end up being the charm of it. Maybe it doesn't need to be this science project like all these other stadiums seem to be. Maybe it doesn't need to be that. I just think that when you have such an expensive brand new thing, I think you are expecting this like, whoa. And when it doesn't happen that way, it does feel a bit underwhelming. But by no means is it a bad stadium. Absolutely not. It's a fine stadium. And also, I'm there for a practice, walking around. Like, what's this going to be like on Thanksgiving night when the Bills and the Chiefs are in late November in a race for the 1 seed in the AFC? Like, what's it going to be like then? Because let's be honest, my opinion going to the practice in August will probably be different. So my first experience in the stadium is a practice in August. My experience will probably differ greatly from the person whose first experience in this stadium is going to Bills-Chiefs on Thanksgiving night, and it's an incredible primetime game, and the Bills win with a walk-off field goal. Is that person's perspective of the new stadium going to be probably significantly different than mine? I would imagine so. Yes. So, I've only been once. It's a massive $2 billion place. I got to check it out a couple of more times, and I'm looking forward to seeing a game in it. And like Mr. Migo's saying here, place would look a hell of a lot better with a Super Bowl banner hanging from it. I'll tell you that. Place would look like the Taj Mahal with a Super Bowl banner hanging from it. Jay Ham, people forget that it's going to be here for 5+ decades. Improvement will be made in the future. People need to calm down. It's not that. It is what it is, Jay Ham. I just think that there were a couple of things that could have been done better visually, like the paint job, for instance, I was saying with the concrete. For sure, the video boards, right? I think there could have been a little bit more bells and whistles going along the side, more jumbotrons, whatever. But you're right. These are things that you don't need to level the stadium for to do. You can paint. You can add jumbotrons, and maybe this happens along the way. We'll see. But anyway, that's going to do it. Hour and a half in the books, and I really appreciate all you stopping by here on a Monday morning/afternoon. Nearly 1,000 of you in the building throughout. Talking about the brand new Highmark Stadium. Let me know down in the comments if you went, what your thoughts were. Let me know down in the comments if you didn't go, or if you have any questions. I'll be sure to answer those after this is over down in the comment section. But for those who are with me here live, I appreciate each and every one of you. And I look forward to hanging out far more frequently over the next coming weeks and months, because football is back, baby. Oh, I'm so excited. All right. Guys, I love you. You guys are the best. Appreciate each and every one of you. That's going to do it for the smoke break here. Looking forward to seeing you on the next one. In the meantime, much love and go Bills.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.